Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from Astrolada.com. And today my guest is the distinguished astrology teacher, AstroViktor. Hello, Victor.
Hi, Lada. Hi, everyone.
It's
Good to
been
be
a long
here.
time. I'm very excited
It's been
about
a
the
long
topic.
time. I've been
Yes,
busy.
and looking fabulous.
Thank
Better and
you.
better every time. And today we're talking predictive techniques because Victor actually is starting and now participate in that 1 year course, the ultimate predictive course with 25 plus predictive and timing methods, all of them, the ancient and the modern ones. Victor, over 1 year, will teach on that, and I'll do a few classes as well there with my predictive techniques and how I use them, but it will cover everything: progression, solar returns, Firdaria, so, solar arcs, and so many methods that I have never even heard of that Victor has incredible knowledge on. And he shared with me one of those predictive methods, and he said it's like the easiest one. And he looked at my years, and I was shocked. Exactly the years he said, that's exactly the events that happened. And I'm very excited to hear about this. What do you call this predictive method?
Going to be the minor periods of planets. This is a ancient timing techniques, very simple. You need a couple of mathematical skills for it, because you're gonna have to add, subtract, divide, multiply, but it's a very easy timing technique. So I'm gonna share that towards the end of the video, because at first I would like to give you an overview over the timing techniques. First of all, you might think we're gonna learn about 25 plus timing techniques, and am I going to be using all of them at the same time? And oh, hell no. You need approximately about 4 or 5 timing techniques in your toolkit. However, certain timing techniques are better for certain things, such as when it comes to minor periods of the planets. One of the reasons why it's brilliant is because, let's say, Lada is going to be ordering a report from me for her entire life. And no way that I'm going to go through all her transits, progressions, solar arc. So I'm going to be using the minor periods of the planets, where I can see within seconds what age the planet is going to get activated. And I can give her predictions that age of 37, for example, she is going to get pregnant, and so forth. And also, this timing technique is brilliant when you do not have your timing of birth. So some of the timing techniques I'm going to be teaching you and Lada in the particular course is relevant without timing techniques without timing of birth as well. And that's the exciting part. But before we jump right onto that timing technique, I just wanted to tell you that, yes, there are at least about 25 timing techniques, and some of them are probably better, some of them are not so much. I would say that every single timing technique works, but you're going to need 4 at least in your toolkit. And one of them always needs to be something that is predicting a larger time frame. So, for example, Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, that is a predictive technique for 20-year cycle, because they always meet every 20 years in one particular sign, and that lasts for 20 years. So that is good, because you can give an overview of what the person might be expecting in the next 20 years. For example, it happened in my 12th house. So the 12th house is very active for me for the next 20 years, but it's not going to be active all the time. So we will need a timing technique that is going to be narrowing this down. For example, yearly timing techniques. And this is when you are going to be using, for example, solar arc or progressions or solar returns, so that you can see when that 0 degree of Aquarius get activated by those smaller kind of timing techniques. And then you need the transits, which are going to be always a trigger point of the bigger cycles. So whenever that 0 degree of Aquarius, for example, gets activated in the chart by transit, and I'm not necessarily talking about the faster moving planets such as Venus or Mars, but the bigger ones,
Like
Pluto.
Pluto now is transiting at 0 degrees, pretty much.
That's right. So whatever was going on in 2020, December 2021, Pluto is actually doing something with that. And maybe it's not immediately visible because Pluto is a hidden energy, but something is getting stirred up there. And then you need always a monthly timing technique as well, because if you are a client of mine and then you're going to tell me, oh, okay, when am I going to meet Johnny? And I'm going to tell you 2024, you might not be happy. You want to hear maybe, oh, it's going to be May, or is it going to be in January or December? Because January I'm happy, December I'm not so happy because I have to wait another 1 year. So therefore you need a monthly timing techniques. And that's where you can use the lunar returns, the profections, or even the minor progressions, tertiary progressions, and so forth. There are quite a lot. So this is exactly how we are going to be building up the course as well. But a couple of ground rules I would like to give you, no matter which timing technique you use, because I think, yeah, so when you are on social media, my favorite one is that, ooh, what does it mean when Jupiter is transiting your 7th house? And people straight away, oh, you are going to be meeting someone, you're going to get married and all those type of things. And maybe 10% of those people are going to meet someone, marry, and so forth. It's not true for everyone. And the reason why is because there are few ground rules. For example, when you are considering transits, one of them is, let's say Lada has got 7th house cusp in Leo, and Jupiter is going to go through her 7th house. First of all, yes, she might be meeting someone, she might be forming certain type of relationships, but we should not forget, we mustn't forget where Jupiter comes from in her natal chart. And in her natal chart, Jupiter is in the 9th house. So this could easily talk to us about meeting a guru, a teacher, meeting a lawyer, and not necessarily because she's going to get married with that lawyer. It's because maybe she is going to have a legal case and the lawyer is going to pull her out of that situation. By the way, she's got Jupiter in the sign of Libra, so the chances of meeting a potential partner is bigger because it's a Venusian sign. But if it was in the sign of, I don't know, Gemini, for example, and Jupiter goes through the 7th, it's very possible that the sibling is going to get married, or we are going to be mending our relationship with the sibling, and so on. So it's not always about relationship. Yeah. So to give you an example, when Jupiter transited my 7th house, it never brought me any type of relationship anyway, but Jupiter comes from my 10th house. So this could indicate certain things. I'm going to be sleeping with my boss. I'm going to be actually signing a contractual agreement with a boss archetype, or it could indicate that I'm going to be just making certain type of maybe beneficial connections with people who are going to be helping me on my career path. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a full relationship. So this is one rule people forget. The next rule is that we must look at what the planet rules. So if Jupiter rules your 3rd house and it's transiting your 7th, again, this might be that the sibling is going to get married and nothing to do with you. But it's affecting your life though, because you are thinking, how on earth my sibling is getting married when they are 10 years younger and I'm still a spinster? So it could be affecting you psychologically, but it's not a direct way of you being in relationship. The third very important rule, which people tend to be forgetting about any timing techniques, is that, let's suppose Lada has got moon in the 7th house, and her moon has got a square to Uranus. Now, Jupiter comes around, transiting the moon, and people interpret, oh, Jupiter and moon transits. great, Jupiter is transiting the moon. So for example, we're going to say that you're going to become a mom, or you're going to become a wife, or whatever we're going to be saying with that particular constellation. But we leave Uranus out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for me to make a prediction to Lada, I'm going to have to ask her certain type of questions, because we don't know what level she is on in that particular moment. And we don't know what Jupiter is going to be magnifying there. So I would be asking questions from Lada, such as, how does it feel for you to be a mom? Because Uranus is freedom and the moon wants to become a mom.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel for you, or have you been, were you abandoned by your mom? Because if her mom left her, then it's going to be psychologically affecting her relationships no matter what. Or I'm going to be asking her, are you prepared to, let's say, relocate? Or how difficult is it for you to commit? Because Uranus loves freedom and loves screwing around. The moon wants to build a family. So obviously we've got a conflicting energy there. And if she starts telling me, oh yeah, I usually list about 5 to 8 possibilities, and the client is going to tell me, you know what, this is the problem. Mommy left me alone, for example. Mommy abandoned me. Mommy restricted my freedom somehow, for example. Then I know that this person is going to be meeting someone who is going to be suffocating, restricting their freedom, and so forth, because whatever is within you, you are going to be projecting that onto a person. So, and if we didn't count with Uranus, we would not get to this extremely important piece of information. So I hope that makes sense. These are some of the ground rules that no matter what timing technique you use, these must be considered. So to give you an example, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happened on 22 degree of Taurus, which is very tightly, almost to the second trining my Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
And even I can give you a better example, actually. I've got an exalted Venus, 9 degree of Pisces. And Saturn, Mercury, Sun conjunction happened on 9 degree of Pisces. Obviously, that's a triple conjunction, so that's quite important, and it lasts for a year. This is a year cycle. So I would be asking myself the question, Venus is in the first house in Pisces. Do you find yourself beautiful? If the answer is no, then clearly we're going to have some issues there. Or Venus is the planet of money. So how are your spending habits? Because if you have got really bad attitude towards money, then clearly this triple conjunction is going to be triggering that. How is your self-worth? What do you see when you look into the mirror? And all those type of questions I would be asking. So it's going to be giving me an idea about which end of that transit the person is going to be utilizing the most. So with Saturn, Sun, and Mercury conjunction, obviously Saturn is the planet of limitation, Mercury is chit chat, and the Sun is the goal. So we've got kind of like a cosmic push there to make certain type of, commitments to chat up someone, for example, on the street. But if Venus is struggling with self-worth, even though it's an exalted Venus, that's a great one. But unfortunately, if we don't use it right, then it's never going to be as resourceful as we might think, because we have to work on the planetary energies. Now, what happens if, and then recently I gave a talk on a different channel, and then we were talking about relocation astrology, and I had to mention that if someone is struggling with an exalted Venus, I would never ask the person to move on a Venusian line, because that's going to get magnified for them. So if I have got self-esteem issues and Venus in Pisces sometimes sleeps around, then you're gonna just end up sleeping around. And if you want to relocate because you want a committed partnership, it most likely on the Venusian line, it's not gonna be happening because you don't have the self-worth to back it up with. So what I'm trying to say here is that I think to do a reading in person, like face-to-face, and having questions asked to the client is extremely important. Rather than you posting your questions on social media, what does it mean to have Saturn in the 7th house? No one is going to be able to tell you without your chart, firstly. Secondly, we have no clue what consciousness level you are on at the moment. So that's why I stopped doing recorded readings a few years ago. I only do the horary ones because those are black and white, yes or no. So yeah. Now, what happens if you do not know your timing of birth? There are some timing techniques that might be able to help you out. And this is going to be, for example, the minor periods of planets. So if you give me permission to
just
share the screen, then I can show bits and bobs to people. First of all, you're gonna need your chart. And can we use yours?
Okay.
So first of all, you're gonna have to look at the latitudes of the planets. This is going to be one of the timing techniques where the latitude is used. And she was born 42 North 29. So we're gonna need this data here, 42, 29. So we must remember this. Once you've got that, we're gonna go and then just go on Google and then just type in ancestral times and AstroSeek, and then we're just going to be opening that up.
And this is an ancient technique, old one.
That's right. Yeah, it comes from the 2nd century. And you're gonna get this table here. So for example, Lada would like to know when her relationships are going to be active, for example. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be looking at planets in the 7th house, as well as the ruler of the 7th house. So, for example, she has got the 7th house ruled by the sun. So I'm going to be looking at the sun, and the sun is on 23 degree of Aries. So what I'm going to do is, we must remember it's Aries, okay? So, because she was born on 42-29, that was the latitude. We're going to go down on the 42 here. And that's between 42 to 43. So that's going to be 1738. You're going to need a piece of paper, write it down. 1738.
I'm putting it in
and
the
let's remember that now. So every single planet has got an activation as well. So I'm going to give them to you now. And if anyone wants to calculate certain bits and bobs in their charts, they can do that. The sun is 19 years. The moon is 25. Mercury is 20. Venus, 8. Mars, 15. Jupiter, 12. Saturn, 30.
These are the minor years of each.
These are the minor planetary periods. This is widely used in other ancient timing techniques as well. So everyone would need these planetary cycles. There is a reason why these are the certain number of years. I'm not going to talk about those. These are mathematical calculations. We don't need them. Thank God. We don't need to manually calculate anything anymore. So the sun was 19 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them up. 1738 plus 19. And that is age 36.38.
When I got married to
so she has got a relationship activation between age 36 to 37. I wouldn't necessarily just say, oh yeah, go with the, 36, 38, which would be 36 and about 5 months, for example, because that's not necessarily the case. So let's just tell the client between age 36 to 37. And that's where other timing techniques are going to be coming into the picture, where we are going to be able to narrow this down. Now, this is really easy, right? So let's look at another example. Maybe we're going to be looking at, so was there anything specific at the age of 36, 37?
I met my husband and I got married to him.
Okay, so you met your husband and you got married. So now this is not as easy as it sounds now, because of course I can see that the sun is conjuncting Mars and Venus. So those have got their planetary activations as well, and they need to be considered also, but more about that in the course, because that age 36 is just great. So for example, I want to look at the moon. So exactly the same I'm going to be doing. This is Leo and moon. So I'm going to be going on 42, and I'm going to be looking at the activation of the moon in Leo. So that's going to be 38.67. So 38.67, and the moon has got 25-year minor period. So 38 plus 25, that's going to be 63. So at the age of 63, she is going to be having another relationship activations.
Oh my God.
Now, that's usually, those are the major ones. There are minor activations as well. And one of them is when you are taking the 2/3 of 63. So, calculator. So 2/3 of the 63. So basically, what did I say? 63, right? 63 times 2 divided by 3. So age 42, when she's got a relationship activation between age 42 to 43, obviously this is going to be a moon-related activation. So what does that mean? It could be triggering the 6th house. So it could be the partner is sick, the partner is giving up smoking, and it's going to be affecting the relationship somehow. The life, you have to be making choices and so forth. Or it's the essential meaning of the moon, such as family, children, mom, grandma, the female ancestry line, and so forth, but it's impacting the relationship somehow.
Yeah.
And of course, you would be looking at, oh yeah, I already said that, moon rules the 6th house. So you can take the 2/3 of that 63 age, or you can just take the half of it. So 63 divided by 2, and that would be age 31. So the moon gets activated around age 31 and 32 as well. Where does this 2/3 coming from and the half? Let's just keep that to the course, because I would need to show you bits and bobs on that, and I don't want to bore you with some mathematical calculations. But it's important to know where does that 2/3 and the half comes from. So anything significant, 31, 32?
It wasn't in relationship. I got married around 33 the previous time, but it was more like business. I started doing business partnerships then. It was work.
Business partnership. Okay, and then you got married 33.
Yeah.
So when did you meet the person? Did you meet the person before?
At 29, something like that.
Okay, so that was a lot earlier. Okay, so yes, we must remember that the 7th house is not only about one-to-one relationships. And usually the ruler is going to be a lot more important from an activation point of view, rather than the planets in the house. Because the planet in the house is more about certain type of experiences we go through within a relationship. So we can have moon experiences there, such as, oh, let's move together. Let's build a family together. Let's show affections
Yeah, we
towards each
moved in together. That was what
other. You
happened.
moved in together. And of course, the sixth house, because often the sixth house actually represents moving together. That's why I mentioned the moving together, because that's sitting between the fifth and the seventh. So with the fifth, we go on a date, then we move together, and then we get married. So that's the linear kind of progression of a relationship. Okay, so
for career, I would look at Mars in that case. Scorpio is the 10th.
Career, Mars. So Mars is in Aries. So Aries, we already looked it up. It was 17 point something. Yeah, 17.38. And the Mars has got a 15 minor period. So that would be the age 32 and a half.
Yes, that's when my astrology, Astrolada, I created Astrolada then.
And obviously, what we can do with that, I'm looking at Mars, is okay, it's really strong in the chart. So this is in rulership, it has got a conjunction to the sun, and the sun does not burn the Mars. Mars never gets combusted because it's too hot. It enjoys the heat, actually. So, and sun is also in an exalted state as well. So there is a mutual reception basically happening between the sun and Mars here, a mixed mutual reception, actually. So this is great. However, if there was any negative aspects to that, I mean, there is a grand trine getting activated there. So we could be able to calculate with those as well. Those might be able to give us more information about further career enhancements. But that's a little bit more complicated, so I'm not gonna break those down. But just don't forget, because she's got a sun and Mars, and that looks good, it might bring certain type of challenges, because I'm seeing that, I don't know, Ceres is actually squaring that combo. So Ceres could be a problem there. And if she didn't manage to work with that Ceres energy, which is about growth, nurturing, so if she is not willing to grow emotionally, or she is not willing to grow her family, for example, or she is not willing to, I don't know, cut something out of her diet, for example, then this might be hindering her. Because let's say, oh, I'm fat and I'm not going to go on camera because I'm chubby and everyone is going to be criticizing me. Or I have got bulimia with Ceres and Mars square, and I'm too skinny, so I'm not going to show myself in a community, third house. Then she can flush it down on the toilet. It's never going to happen. So obviously, it depends on her whether, I don't know, she was struggling with bulimia or she was willing to grow, right? Because a square is an invitation to grow, especially with Ceres.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she was ready to grow. So Sun and Mars won over Ceres.
Mm.
So this is a very cool, easy timing technique. You don't need a super accurate timing of birth for it. And you can do that with every single planet of yours. You can calculate your financial house, for example. And in that case, Jupiter is in Libra. So I look at
40.
Libra, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 38. Plus Jupiter is 12. So that at the age of 50, she's got a activation going on there. And then you just take the 2/3 of 50 divided by 3, so age 33. So she's got money activations at the age of 33. Whether it's good or bad, we don't know. Okay, so I would need to be looking at the chart. Jupiter is sitting next to Saturn, so that's a business cycle. Maybe she's opening a business there. It is being trined by Pallas Athene. Okay, that could be great, but it's being opposed by Mercury as well. So you know, Mercury, what does it rule here? Rules other people's money. So maybe she's got this brilliant business idea, Jupiter and Saturn, but I need money for it. Where can I get the money from? How am I going to get the money? So if she can't figure that out, it might bring challenges. If she can figure it out, this could go really well. And obviously Mercury rules the 5th house as well. So can I be passionate about this business idea, or am I just making it because I need money? Or do I want to be on a stage, 5th house, or not? Again, that is repeating actually exactly the same series, and Mars matter as well. What I highlighted, that if we are struggling with self-esteem, then we can have blockages here. So age of 33, that has come up quite often actually. So the more it comes up, the more important that year becomes. So you had age 32, 33 getting activated business-wise, as well as maybe relationships. And then the money gets activated age 33 as well. So the more a particular age pops up, the more important it becomes. And what am I going to do to be able to figure out what was going on? I'm just going to go on progressions, solar arc, and so forth. And I'm going to be looking at what was going on in that age 32, 33. Is it going to be able to narrow me down a little bit more? Is it going to be a difficult relationship? Is it going to be a beneficial one? And so forth. So 81 plus 30, that's 2014, right? Did I count well? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to type in 2014, and I'm going to get a solar arc direction chart here. And firstly, I want to be seeing, okay, we had Mars 21 degree getting activated. First of all, so I'm just going to focus on that. So do we have anything that is triggering Aries 21 degree with that Mars? Okay, we've got Ceres trining it. Great. And I don't see anything else. So, okay, so Ceres is actually trining that. Okay, so what can I do? Ceres is the asteroid of growth, mothering, nurturing. So that is going to be coming somehow into her money as well as her business cycles or relationships, because all of them got activated at the same time. Or makes me depressed. Ceres is the asteroid of depression as well. But this is a trine, and Ceres is in Leo, wants visibility. God knows if it's a really a depressed energy there, but anyway, we're just looking at one particular segment of the chart. Wow. So this is what we are going to be breaking down for you guys over a year. So you can become very comfortable of doing prognosis, predictive techniques. And then you can cherry pick which one you want to use, because the most important is, you know, yesterday we were talking about this with Lada. She prefers progressions. I prefer solar arc. She said, I rarely use solar arc. I rarely use progressions. It doesn't mean it doesn't work, but we have got all our preferences. And that's why it's good to be looking at a lot of timing techniques, which one works the best for you, because you are going to be pulled or drawn towards one particular one that is, you know, that is amazing to you, but it might not be amazing to others. And when you are drawn to a timing technique, it gives you better results, surely.
Can you tell me what are your favorite techniques?
I love solar arc. I love using profections. Okay. Transit is not something that you can walk away from. So as I said, transit is a trigger point that is triggering bigger cycles, but I never use transits on their own. So no way. I'm going to be combining it with other timing techniques. And it really depends on what type of questions the client has. So if they have a question about, for example, you know, relationship, I might be actually using the progress composite chart rather than the natal chart separate. So it really depends on the question, but I don't use 25 of them at the same time. So I learn them all and then I explore them all, and some are working brilliantly and some are less exciting, you know, but it doesn't mean, as I said, it doesn't work.
Yeah, like my favorite is again transit, especially those big cycles that you talked about. To see like Saturn, Jupiter, what it activates, progressions, and that's a big passion of mine, and Dasha. That's one that I'll teach whoever wants to, and I use them. I love simplicity, and it has to be very obvious. And because there is always like people can enter, for example, 15-year cycle where things are not good, might be with health or with love, or sometimes it's even 20 years. And transit cannot explain that. Transits don't last for 20 years. I mean, even if Pluto is transiting your seventh house for 20 years, it will be making different aspects from there. And I started seeing it through dashas. If you're running a period of a planet that is 20 years old, and this planet is not auspicious for relationships, that's how I see. Which one do you use for those very big periods? Would
For
that be
example, we can
Dania?
use zodiacal releasing for
Oh,
those big
yes.
periods. That's very similar to this Dasha system. So also there is the 30-year cycle there, Venus 8-year cycle, and so forth. And then there are minor cycles of those as well, 4 tiers actually. We're going to learn about those as well. So the syllabus is available on the website if you guys want to see. We're going to learn about progressions for about 9 weeks, for example, secondary, primary progressions, solar arc, minor progressions, tertiary progressions. So you're going to have it all. And there are going to be modules. After each module, you're going to have a mini exam, as well as we're going to be holding a Q&A session where we are going to be pretty much just answering your questions and so forth. So let's call it as a module closing little section. And then, so basically it's going to be minimum 52 weeks. But because Lada is going to be giving you some lectures as well, so it might be about a good 58, 60 weeks. So you must become a professional astrologer. But a couple of things actually it's good to mention, not to get confused. This is not for beginners. This is not for the light-hearted ones. Because this is an intense course. So I just don't want that confusion that you're going to learn how to read a natal chart in this course, because that's not going to be happening. We're going to be reading natal charts because it's imperative to understand the natal chart if we want to be making predictions. But there were instances in the past where the student didn't even know how the Venus glymph looks like.
Oh.
Or what planet rules Taurus, and so on. So if you have no background with astrology, this course is not for you. You need to know signs, houses, aspects. You need to be comfortable reading a chart. You don't need to be extremely, comfortable about psychology and all these type of things, but you need to have a good understanding that Venus and Saturn archetype is about self-worth issues. I'm not lovable, I'm not beautiful, I don't deserve money, I don't deserve love. Those type of keywords, it's good to know. And house rulerships, you also need to be aware of those as well. What does it mean to have the 7th house ruler in the 11th? So meeting someone through friends, meeting someone on social media, you need to be able to associate those. If you are struggling with any of those bits, I've got foundational courses all about house rulerships and so forth. You might want to take those first before you dive into this big segment. So this is from intermediate, and we're going to take you to a very advanced level. And then hopefully after you can start your own astrology business. And maybe you can even work for Lada, because we are going to be choosing 1 or 2 students who can participate with her.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Viktor. I'm excited because I'm going to learn so much from you. And I always learn something extremely cool. And I love that you're using new, but also very old methods. And the old methods are the ones that we have forgotten, but that they used to predict for kings and they had to be correct or off with their heads. So this is something that we really need to respect the old astrology.
You know, that's why Saturn is a very interesting planet, because obviously Saturn rules timing. But also Saturn has got one motto: don't reinvent the wheel that has been invented already. And obviously the Saturn's secondary side is the Aquarian side, where we want to be reinventing things. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it's good to be going back to these simple old timing techniques, and we might want to be putting our spin on it, and we might want to be just adding something to it, but we don't need to completely modify something. So that's why it's good to be looking at these ancient timing techniques, I believe.
Thank you. I absolutely love this timing technique. It blew me away with its accuracy. And I can't wait to see you here. Maybe in like 10 days, me and Viktor will make a video together from the same
Yes,
place, from the together.
we will be meeting soon.
I can't wait on the beach.
On the
Waiting for
beach.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Joining us. Bye bye.